For most of our story, we were the hunted, small, outnumbered, vulnerable, and yet somehow, we learned to face the dark together, to plan, to speak, to imagine. This is how humans took over the planet. The story of us does not begin with cities or empires, but here, in the vast, dynamic landscapes of Africa. For millions of years, this continent was our entire world, a crucible of evolution. In the Great Rift Valley, a mosaic of sprawling savannas, dense woodlands, and life-giving lakes, our earliest ancestors took their first upright steps. This was a world of profound change, where shifting climates repeatedly redrew the map of survival, forcing constant adaptation. It was a landscape where immense opportunity was shadowed by ever-present risk, and in that tension, humanity was forged. Here, our predecessors moved in small, nomadic bands, likely no more than a few dozen individuals bound by kinship. They were intimately connected to the rhythms of the land, learning its secrets through generations of trial and error. They learned to read the clouds for rain, to follow the great herds, and to distinguish nourishing plants from poisonous ones. Their survival depended not on strength alone, but on cooperation and shared knowledge. And crucially, they learned to shape their environment. They began creating tools, striking stone against stone to create sharp edges for butchering carcasses and digging for roots, the first whispers of technology. Over hundreds of thousands of years, this relentless pressure to adapt sculpted our very being. Our bodies grew taller and more efficient at walking long distances, freeing our hands for increasingly complex tasks. But the most profound transformation was happening inside our skulls. Our brains grew dramatically in size and complexity, a development fueled by a richer, more diverse diet that now included meat and marrow, made accessible by our tools. This feedback loop, better tools leading to better nutrition, leading to bigger brains, leading to even better tools, was the engine of our evolution. But the truly revolutionary leap was not in bone or muscle. It was the dawn of a new kind of mind. The ability to think symbolically, to plan for a future that didn't yet exist, and to share complex ideas through language began to emerge. Stories told around a fire could now turn a single individual's experience into a lesson for the entire group. Memory became a library of survival strategies, passed down not through instinct, but through instruction. Then around 300,000 years ago, a new species appeared on this stage, Homo sapiens. Us. Anatomically, we were familiar with a lighter build, a high forehead, and a smaller jaw than our ancestors. But mentally, we were extraordinary. We possessed a cognitive toolkit that would allow us to innovate, communicate, and cooperate on a scale never before seen on this planet. For a time, we shared Africa with other human species, but our unique capacity for symbolic thought and social learning gave us a decisive edge. We weren't just surviving the environment, we were beginning to actively shape our destiny within it. An innate curiosity, a restlessness, began to stir. We moved not as solitary wanderers, but as families, as bands, a cohesive social unit that provided safety, shared resources, and pooled knowledge. This collective strength allowed us to face down predators, endure harsh climates, and explore new territories. Driven by shifting climates that turned lush grasslands into arid deserts and pulled by the promise of new resources over the horizon, we began to move. The first great expansion was about to begin. From our African homeland, everything accelerates, and the mastery of a single powerful element would provide the light, the warmth, and the energy to fuel our journey into the unknown. Our first great advantage was about to spark into a flame that would eventually light up the world. Our first great leap forward wasn't a step, but a strike. We shaped the world by first shaping stone. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors learned to see the tool hidden inside the rock. They developed an intuitive physics, understanding the precise angle and force needed to fracture flint or obsidian just so. This was napping, a percussive, deliberate conversation with the material world. Each successful strike produced a razor-sharp edge, and edges made possibilities. Suddenly, the tough hides of animals, the fibrous stalks of plants, and the dense grain of wood were no longer barriers. Cutting meant access. Access to protein-rich marrow locked inside bone. Access to insulating furs for clothing and shelter. Access to the raw materials for crafting even more sophisticated tools, like wooden spears with fire-hardened tips. One innovation unlocked a cascade of others. Crucially, this knowledge wasn't encoded in our DNA. It was taught, shared, and refined from one generation to the next. Skills spread faster than genes, creating a shared technological culture that bound communities together. Then came the second revolution, the taming of fire. At first, we likely harvested it from lightning strikes, carefully tending a precious flame. But learning to create and control it at will was transformative. The hearth became the center of human life, offering warmth against the cold, a beacon of light in the darkness, and a formidable defense against predators. And it gave us the cooked meal. Cooking unlocked a universe of energy. It broke down tough fibers and neutralized toxins, making a wider range of foods edible and digestible. This dietary revolution freed up metabolic resources that had previously been spent on digestion, fueling the growth of our most energy-hungry organ, the brain. With fire, the night tilted in our favor. The hours of darkness were no longer just a time of vulnerability, but a new frontier for social life and thought. Around the flickering flames, we found time. Time to mend tools, to care for the young and old, to strengthen social bonds. Around these fires, we shared stories, mourned losses, and planned for the days ahead. We imagined what we could not see. Armed with sharp tools and the strategic advantage of fire, we developed new strategies for survival. Hunting became a coordinated, planned activity, not just an opportunistic encounter. Precision made courage practical, aimed intention, backed by technology and teamwork, fundamentally changed the odds. Success brought surplus. A successful hunt meant more than a single meal. It meant security. With surplus came time to learn, to bond, to plan for a future beyond the next sunrise. The turning point wasn't just the tool in our hand or the fire at our feet, it was the collaboration they enabled. In the safety of the firelight, with the power of our shared tools, we learned that together, ideas compound. And that changes everything. Language lets thoughts travel from one mind to many. We coordinated not just actions, but intentions. Knowledge no longer died with its owner. Stories bound strangers into a single us. Shared beliefs scaled cooperation beyond kin. Rules enforced themselves through reputations. Language made planning recursive, thinking about thinking. Many minds, one plan. Trust compounds faster than tools do. Language, humanity's multiplier. With words, we could attempt the impossible. Next came the greatest journey our species ever undertook. The world was changing, and so were we. Driven by shifting climates that transformed our African homeland, and perhaps by an innate curiosity, small bands of Homo sapiens began a journey that would redefine our species. This wasn't a single event, but a trickling wave of dispersal that unfolded across tens of thousands of years. The first tentative steps out of Africa marked the beginning of our planetary story. They followed two main corridors into the vast unknown. Some ventured north, crossing the Sinai Peninsula into the Levant, a gateway to the immense continents of Asia and Europe. Others took a southern coastal route, island hopping across the Red Sea's narrowest point, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and then hugging the shorelines of Arabia, India, and onward into Southeast Asia. Each step was a gamble, a journey into a world with no maps. The planet itself became our test. We crossed scorching deserts where water was a memory, and survival depended on tracking game and finding hidden oases. We navigated dense, unfamiliar forests, learning to distinguish between poisonous and edible plants, our senses sharpened by the constant presence of new predators. As we pushed into the northern latitudes, we faced the biting cold of the Ice Age. This new, frigid reality demanded radical innovation. Survival was no longer just about finding food. It was about creating warmth. Cold demanded expertly stitched clothing from animal hides, the construction of sturdy shelters from wood, bone, and earth, and an absolute mastery of fire. We learned to carry our climate with us, creating pockets of artificial summer in the heart of winter. The hearth became the center of social life, a place for sharing food, stories, and the crucial knowledge needed to endure. Barriers became pathways. Rivers and coastlines, once seen as limits, became highways. With the invention of simple rafts and boats, we could exploit rich marine resources and travel farther and faster than ever before, eventually reaching distant islands and even new continents like Australia. In each new place, we faced new challenges, which spurred new solutions. This relentless cycle of problem and invention drove our cultural evolution at a pace far faster than our biology could. We didn't wait for genes to adapt us to the cold. We invented parkas. We didn't evolve gills. We built boats. From the frozen tundra of Siberia to the humid tropics of the Amazon, one factor remained constant. Cooperation kept us alive. Sharing knowledge, defending each other, and working together to hunt large game were not just ideals, but essential survival strategies. Our social bonds were our greatest tool. Through a combination of breathtaking ingenuity, profound resilience, and perhaps a measure of sheer luck, we transformed ourselves from a localized African primate into a truly planetary species, the first in 4 billion years of life to inhabit every major terrestrial ecosystem. Then, after millennia of wandering in scattered places across the globe, a revolutionary new idea began to take root. An idea that would change our relationship with the Earth forever. Don't just find the future, grow it. Farming traded motion for stability. Season by season, harvest grew communities. Animals shared labor, calories, and risks. Specialization appeared. We became more than generalists. Stored food meant stored time. Calendars, rituals, property, new rules for new lives. Farming brought hard work, disease, conflict, and surplus. Surplus fed population, craft, and ambition. The pace quickened again. Where food lasts, ideas gather. Cities concentrate minds and multiply complexity. Monuments turned power into stone. Irrigation bent rivers into schedules. Writing made memory external. Contracts, stories, laws. Information could travel farther than messengers. Commerce connected strangers into systems. Rules, hierarchies, and disputes scaled too. Craft refined both tools and taste. Civilization is cooperation, written large. But as networks grew, so did ambitions and conflicts. Empires organized violence, and roads, taxes, law. Battle is choreography with consequences. Conflict forged borders and legends. Exploration stitched continents into a single story. No empire is permanent. The map is always breathing. Wealth follows connection and invites competition. Power concentrates benefits and burdens unequally. Diplomacy is war by other tools. Our next revolution was mechanical. Steam and steel would rewire everything. We learned to turn heat into motion, motion into productivity. Work left the home and gathered under roofs. Cities swelled with both promise and smog. Distance shrank as speed rose. Standard parts made standard lives. We produced more, faster, cheaper, and differently. Industry magnified injustice, then movements rose to amend it. Power flowed through copper veins, birthing the modern grid. Acceleration became our default. Soon, we would compress ideas into silicon. Billions live in megastructures of glass, fiber, and code. Systems move us as we move through systems. Above us, quiet machines knit the planet tighter. We learn at scales no single mind can hold. Education escaped buildings. We begin to power growth with less burn. Interdependence brings resilience and vulnerability. Signals ripple faster than storms. For the first time, we can see our species and our home as one system. We took over the planet by taking care of each other. Now the challenge is larger. Take care of the planet too. We can undo harm with the same tools we built it with: cooperation and imagination. Many paths, one home, small acts, multiplied, shape centuries. The next turning point is us. Our story isn't destiny, it's a decision we make together. Choose wisely and keep each other alive.